Just need to breathe, Jenny whispers to the darkness, pressing her palm against the gash above her temple. Blood seeps between her fingers, warm and sticky. Her designer blazer, the charcoal theory piece she'd bought on 3 months of payment plans, hangs torn at the shoulder. The silk blouse beneath is missing 2 buttons. She doesn't remember losing them. She can't go back upstairs like this. Can't let the evening shift see her like this. The Millennium Empire doesn't tolerate weakness. They demand invisible excellence. Jenny Carlos has worked too hard to lose this position. For years climbing from front desk to luxury hospitality manager at the most exclusive hotel in Manhattan. And she's finally close to her dream. Close to saving enough for her own boutique hotel. Close to proving she's more than the Carlos family shame from Brooklyn who got a lucky break. She dabs at her bleeding lip with her sleeve, but it won't stop. Her hands won't stop shaking. The wine cellar door opens. Jenny's breath catches. She turns, an excuse already forming on her lips, but the words die in her throat. Lorenzo Milani fills the doorway. Not just any Milani. The Milani. The one who owns this hotel and 6 others across 3 countries. The one whose name appears in whispered conversations with phrases like, connected to, controls, and, don't cross. 6'2" of Italian tailoring and lethal precision. His dark hair touched with silver at the temples. His eyes the color of black coffee and just as bitter. Chi ti ha fatto questo, he asks quietly, his voice carrying the weight of a death sentence. Who did this to you? Lorenzo doesn't rush. That's what terrifies her most. He descends the wine cellar steps with the unhurried precision of a man who's never had to chase anything in his life. His 3-piece suit is midnight blue, tailored so perfectly it might as well be a second skin. His shoes are Italian leather that probably cost more than Jenny's monthly rent. He looks like he belongs in a boardroom or an opera house, not in a dim basement smelling of old wood and spilled wine. Jenny looks like she's been thrown down a flight of stairs. The contrast is obscene. Signorina Carlos. His voice is quiet, controlled. He stops 3 feet away, close enough to assess, far enough to avoid crowding. His dark eyes move over her with clinical efficiency, the blood matting her hair, the torn fabric, the way she's cradling her left side. You missed the final toasts. It's such an absurd statement that Jenny almost laughs. Almost. But her ribs scream when she tries to breathe too deeply, and the sound that comes out is more like a whimper. Something shifts in Lorenzo's expression. It's minute, a tightening around his eyes, a slight flare of his nostrils, but Jenny has spent 4 years reading wealthy men's micro-expressions. This isn't displeasure at a disrupted schedule. This is rage, leashed so tightly it might snap bone. He moves closer, and Jenny's instinct screams at her to retreat. But there's nowhere to go except deeper into the wine racks, and her legs won't hold her much longer anyway. Guardami. The command is soft, but it's still a command. Look at me. Jenny lifts her chin. It takes everything she has. Lorenzo's jaw works silently. Then he curses, low and vicious in Italian, words Jenny doesn't fully understand but recognizes as profanity by their cadence alone. He reaches for her face, and she flinches. He freezes. I won't hurt you. When she doesn't pull away again, his fingers ghost along her cheekbone with a gentleness that contradicts everything about him. His touch is professional, diagnostic. He tilts her head toward the single hanging bulb. Chi ti ha fatto questo? The question comes out rougher now, barely controlled. Who did this to you? I'm fine, Jenny whispers. I just need. Your left pupil is slightly dilated. Concussion. His thumb traces the air near her split lip without touching it. Defensive wounds on your palms. He catches her wrist, turning it to reveal the scrapes across her palm where she tried to break her fall. Or fight back. Facial asymmetry here. His knuckle hovers over her cheekbone. Fractured. And the way you're breathing, bruised ribs, possibly cracked. Jenny stares at him. He's cataloging her injuries like a coroner. Like he's done this before. How do you? Chi ti ha fatto questo, he repeats, and this time it's not a question. It's a vow. Her throat closes. Because she recognizes that tone. It's the same one her father used before he disappeared for 3 days and came back with bloodied knuckles and a man's watch. It's the voice of violence, barely restrained. And Lorenzo Milani is waiting for a name. Jenny should lie. Every survival instinct she has screams at her to lie, to say she fell, to say it was an accident, to protect herself from whatever comes next. But Lorenzo's hands are still cradling her face with a tenderness that makes her chest ache, and his eyes are searching hers like she's something valuable that's been damaged. They didn't just hurt you, he says quietly, his thumb barely grazing her uninjured cheek. They tried to destroy something precious that was never theirs to touch. The words crack something open inside her. Because no one has ever called her precious. Competent, yes. Professional, reliable, efficient. But never precious. Dominic Castellano, she whispers, and watches Lorenzo's expression go absolutely still. And 9 others. His friends. Her voice breaks. I told him no. I've told him no for 6 months. But tonight Basta. Enough. Lorenzo's hand moves to the back of her neck, steady and grounding. I don't need the details to know what they are. Animals. Worse than animals, because animals don't torture for pleasure. Jenny's breath hitches. His father is Victor Castellano. The real estate developer. He's connected, he's got people in the mayor's office, the police. Victor Castellano is a cockroach pretending to be a lion. Lorenzo's voice is soft, almost conversational, which makes it more terrifying. And his son is simply a cockroach. He releases her carefully, as if she might shatter, and pulls his phone from his inside pocket. The movement is fluid, practiced. He doesn't break eye contact as he dials. Enzo, he says in Italian, and Jenny's limited understanding catches only fragments. But she understands the tone. It's glacial. Absolute. Like deep water that drowns without sound, without warning, without mercy. Lorenzo's eyes are still on her as he speaks. Dei sei uomini. Dominic Castellano e 9 altri. 10 men. Dominic Castellano and 9 others. A pause. Someone speaks on the other end. Tutti. All of them. Voglio I loro nomi completi. Voglio sapere dove sono in questo momento. E voglio che spariscano prima dell'alba. I want their full names. I want to know where they are right now. And I want them gone before dawn. Jenny's knees buckle. Lorenzo catches her with his free arm, pulling her against his chest without ending the call. She can feel his heartbeat through the expensive fabric. Steady. Unhurried. While he's ordering the disappearance of 10 men, his heart doesn't even quicken. See, he says into the phone. La signorina Carlos avrà bisogno del dottor Russo. Discreta. Immediatamente. Yes. Miss Carlos will need Dr. Russo. Discreet. Immediately. He ends the call and slips the phone away. His hand curves around her waist, supporting her weight like it's nothing. What did you just do? Jenny breathes. Lorenzo's smile doesn't reach his eyes. I just made a very expensive promise, Cara. And I always keep my promises. They'll come after you. Victor Castellano. Victor Castellano, Lorenzo interrupts gently, will learn that there are things in this city more dangerous than real estate lawyers and corrupt councilmen. He tilts her chin up with one finger. You're going to trust me now. Can you do that? Jenny should say no. Should run. Should do anything except nod. But she nods anyway. Enzo arrives within 6 minutes. Jenny knows because she counts every second while Lorenzo keeps her upright, his arm a steel band around her waist. The man who enters the wine cellar looks like someone's distinguished uncle, gray at the temples, fine lines around his eyes, expensive watch. But he moves like a soldier, economical and precise, and he doesn't ask a single question before opening a leather medical kit. Signorina. His voice is professionally neutral. He crouches in front of her, shining a penlight into her eyes. Follow the light, please. Jenny obeys. Lorenzo's hand stays warm against her spine. Mild concussion, Enzo confirms, his accent thicker than Lorenzo's. The cheekbone is fractured but stable. Ribs are bruised, possibly one crack on the left side. Nothing that won't heal. He glances at Lorenzo. Dr. Russo should see her tonight. X-rays, proper pain management. Already arranged, Lorenzo says quietly. Enzo nods once and begins cleaning the wound at Jenny's temple with careful efficiency. She barely feels it. She's too focused on the reality settling over her like ice water. You can't do this, she whispers. You can't just. Victor Castellano owns half the city council. He has judges, police commissioners. If you touch his son. If I touch his son, nothing will happen. Lorenzo's voice is patient, almost gentle. Because no one will find evidence that I touched anything. They'll know it was you. Knowing and proving are very different things, Cara. Jenny tries to pull away, but her legs won't cooperate and Lorenzo's arm tightens just enough to keep her steady. This will destroy you. Your hotels, your reputation. My hotels, Lorenzo interrupts softly, are the smallest part of what I control in this city. And my reputation? His smile is cold. Was never built on hospitality. Enzo finishes bandaging her temple and stands, closing his kit with a quiet snap. He exchanges a look with Lorenzo, something wordless and absolute, then disappears up the stairs as silently as he arrived. The wine cellar feels smaller now. More intimate. Lorenzo releases her only to shrug out of his suit jacket. The silk lining whispers as he drapes it over her shoulders. It's still warm from his body heat, and it smells like expensive cologne and something darker. Something that makes her think of midnight and smoke. The moment Castellano's son marked your skin, Lorenzo says quietly, he signed his own fate. Not because I'm noble or righteous. His fingers adjust the jacket's collar with meticulous care. But because you're mine to protect now, Jenny. Whether you understand that yet or not. Her name in his mouth sounds like a claim. I didn't ask for protection. No. You asked for nothing. Which is why you'll receive everything. He takes her hand, his thumb tracing the scrapes on her palm. His touch is impossibly gentle. Do you trust me to make this right? Jenny should say no. Should demand he call it off, should threaten to go to the police herself, should do anything except stand here drowning in those dark eyes. Yes, she breathes. I trust you. Lorenzo's smile is devastating. Then it's already done. Lorenzo guides her toward the stairs with the same careful precision he'd use with priceless crystal. Enzo reappears at the top, silent and waiting. Jenny's legs feel disconnected from her body, shock and adrenaline finally catching up to her in nauseating waves. Enzo will take you to Dr. Russo, Lorenzo says. She's discreet. She'll handle the X-rays, proper medication, documentation if you need it later. His hand stays steady on her elbow. You have indefinite paid leave as of tonight. Full salary. When you're ready to return, your position will be waiting. I can work, Jenny protests weakly. I just need a few days. You need as long as it takes. His tone allows no argument. Consider it a company policy I'm implementing right now. They reach the top of the stairs. The hotel service corridor is empty, the muffled sounds of the gala still echoing from somewhere distant. Jenny realizes Lorenzo must have cleared this entire section. Planned this extraction like a military operation. Your hotel dream, Lorenzo says, stopping at the emergency exit. His voice is calm, matter-of-fact. The boutique concept you've been sketching in notebooks during your lunch breaks. How much do you need? Jenny's breath catches. How do you? I pay attention to things that matter. He adjusts his jacket on her shoulders, the gesture almost tender. How much? $2 million for the property, another $1 million for renovations and, she stops. It doesn't matter. I can't accept. Consider it funded. He says it like he's ordering coffee. My accountant will contact you within 72 hours. No strings, no ownership stake unless you want partnership. Your dream, your terms. Jenny's vision swims. Why would you? Because men like Dominic Castellano tried to take everything from you tonight. Lorenzo's voice drops lower. And I'm going to make certain you have more than you started with. He nods to Enzo, who moves to Jenny's other side, ready to support her. But Lorenzo doesn't release her yet. His hand comes up to cup her uninjured cheek, tilting her face toward his. There's something else you need to understand, Jenny. The gentleness is gone. Not replaced with cruelty, but with something far more terrifying, absolute certainty. His eyes are black ice. This is the man whose name appears in FBI reports. The one connected to disappearances and unsolved cases. The wolf who'd been playing human for her benefit. Dominic Castellano's existence ends tonight. Each word is precise, final. Not metaphorically. Not eventually. Tonight. Before the sun rises, he will cease to exist in any capacity that matters. Jenny's pulse hammers in her throat. The other 9 will take longer, Lorenzo continues, his thumb tracing her jawline with devastating gentleness. But they'll pray for death long before I allow it. And Victor Castellano? His smile is a blade. He'll spend the rest of his miserable life knowing that his son's last thoughts were of the woman he should never have touched. Lorenzo. I'm going to remind this city why my name is spoken carefully, Kara. He leans closer, his lips barely brushing her temple. And you're going to let me? It's not a question. Enzo's hand settles on her elbow. Lorenzo steps back, already pulling out his phone again. Take care of her, he says to Enzo, his voice returning to that quiet command. Then to Jenny, I'll see you soon. He disappears into the hotel's shadows like he was never there at all. Jenny's apartment feels too quiet. Dr. Russo had been efficient and kind, confirming Enzo's assessment: fractured cheekbone, cracked rib, mild concussion. She'd provided prescription painkillers, ice packs, and instructions to rest. Then Enzo had driven Jenny home in a black Mercedes that probably cost more than her annual salary, walking her to her door like she might shatter on the stairs. Now it's 2:47 a.m., and Jenny sits on her worn couch wrapped in Lorenzo's jacket, staring at nothing. The jacket still smells like him. Expensive and dangerous. Her phone buzzes. A notification from her bank. Deposit, $500,000. Source, untraceable wire transfer. New balance, $523,847.19. Jenny's hands shake as she opens the app. The money is there. Real. Sitting in her savings account like it's the most natural thing in the world. No name attached to the transfer, no explanation, just $500,000 that didn't exist 3 hours ago. She should feel grateful. Relieved. Instead, she feels like she's signed a contract written in blood without reading the terms. She pulls the jacket tighter and waits. Dawn comes slowly. The sky shifts from black to gray to pale gold. Jenny hasn't slept. Can't sleep. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees Dominic Castellano's face, hears his laugh, feels his hands. Her phone rings. Not a call. The television remote. She'd turned it on at some point, volume low, watching infomercials without seeing them. But now the morning news is starting, and the anchor's face is grave. Breaking news this morning: 10 men reported missing in what police are calling a coordinated overnight operation. Jenny's breath stops. The screen fills with photographs. Professional headshots, society pages, social media profiles. 10 faces she recognizes. 10 men who'd been in that private event room last night. Dominic Castellano, 31, son of prominent real estate developer Victor Castellano, was last seen leaving the Milani Hotel at approximately 11 p.m. Also missing are 9 associates, all reported by family members within the last 6 hours. Police say there are no signs of struggle, no surveillance footage, and no apparent connection between the disappearances beyond their social circle. The anchor's voice continues, but Jenny can't hear it over the rushing in her ears. Her phone rings. She knows who it is before she looks. Hello? Her voice sounds strange. Distant. Buongiorno, cara. Lorenzo's voice is dark honey. Good morning, darling. Did you sleep? You're watching the news. I don't need to watch the news. There's a smile in his voice. I made the news. Jenny should feel horror. Guilt. Something other than this savage satisfaction burning in her chest. Where are they? She whispers. Somewhere they'll never hurt anyone again. His voice drops lower, intimate. The men who hurt you no longer exist in any way that matters. They're breathing, for now. But they're gone, Jenny. Erased. And Victor Castellano will never find them. How? I have resources that make Victor's political connections look like children playing dress-up. A pause. How do you feel? Jenny closes her eyes. She should lie. Should say she's horrified, traumatized, that he's gone too far. Safe, she breathes. I feel safe. Lorenzo's exhale is satisfied, possessive. Good. That's all that matters. What happens now? Now? His voice turns velvet. Now you rest. Heal. And when you're ready, Kara, we talk about what comes next. The line goes dead. Jenny sits wrapped in his jacket, watching the news cycle through the missing men's faces, and doesn't feel guilty at all. She calls him back before she can talk herself out of it. He answers on the first ring. Jenny. Not a question. A statement of possession. I need to know something. Her voice is steadier than she expected. The painkillers are wearing off, and the ache in her ribs sharpens with each breath, but her mind is clear. Crystal clear. Did they understand what they did to me? Silence. Then, why do you want to know? Because I need to know if they were scared. The words come out raw, honest. I need to know if they felt even a fraction of what I felt in that room. Her voice breaks. I need to know they understood. Kara. Don't tell me I shouldn't want that. Jenny's fingers tighten on the phone. Don't tell me it makes me a bad person. I want them to have been terrified, Lorenzo. I want them to have felt helpless and small and they were terrified. His voice cuts through her spiral, firm and sure. Every single one of them. Especially Castellano. Jenny's breath catches. They spent their final hours as free men understanding exactly what they stole from you, Lorenzo continues, his accent thickening. I made certain of it. They knew your name. They knew what they'd done. And they knew that no amount of money or connections or begging would save them. Something hot and vicious unfurls in Jenny's chest. Not guilt. Not shame. Raw, primal satisfaction. Good, she whispers. Good. You're not horrified by yourself? There's something almost tender in Lorenzo's question. You're not afraid of what it means that you feel this way? I should be, shouldn't I? Jenny laughs, and it sounds broken. I should feel guilty. I should be calling the police, turning you in, doing something good and moral and right. But you're not. No. She closes her eyes. I'm sitting here feeling relieved that 10 men are suffering somewhere, and I don't regret it. What does that make me? Human, Lorenzo says simply. It makes you human, Kara. Survival doesn't always look noble. Jenny's throat tightens. Why did you do it? Really? Because they hurt you. That's not enough. You don't know me. You're risking everything for someone you've spoken to twice. I've watched you for 3 years, Lorenzo interrupts quietly. Every shift. Every smile you forced for guests who treated you like furniture. Every night you stayed late to fix someone else's mistakes. Every time you went home alone to that apartment with the broken lock you can't afford to fix. Jenny's heart stops. I know you take your coffee with too much sugar because the hotel break room only stocks the cheap bitter kind. I know you donate half your tips to your mother's church even though you don't believe anymore. I know you haven't bought yourself anything that wasn't secondhand in 4 years because every dollar goes toward that hotel dream. His voice drops to something dark and possessive. I know everything about you, Jenny. And I didn't do this because they hurt some stranger. Then why? Because imagining someone hurting you made me want to dismantle this entire city piece by piece. The words are simple. Devastating. So yes, Kara, they understood what they did to you. Because I made sure they understood they'd touched something that belonged to me. Jenny should protest. Should say she doesn't belong to anyone. Instead, she whispers, thank you. Prego, tesoro. You're welcome, treasure. Now rest. I'll call you tonight. He hangs up, and Jenny sits in the growing daylight, feeling truly safe for the first time in years. 5 days later, Jenny returns to work. The bruising on her face has faded to yellow-green, concealable with makeup. Her cheekbone still aches, but Dr. Russo assured her it's healing properly. The hotel staff whispers when she passes, their eyes darting away too quickly, their smiles too careful. They know something happened. They just don't know what. The news still runs stories about the missing men. Victor Castellano has offered $1 million reward for information. The FBI is involved now. And still, nothing. No leads, no evidence, no trace. Jenny feels nothing but satisfaction. She's at her desk reviewing vendor contracts when her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number, *my office. Now, *. She knows who it is. Lorenzo's private office occupies the entire top floor, accessible only by a keycard elevator. Jenny's never been up here before. The space is minimalist and expensive, dark wood, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, leather furniture that probably costs more than her car. Lorenzo stands at the windows, hands in his pockets, perfectly tailored as always. He doesn't turn when she enters. "Lock the door," he says quietly. Jenny's pulse quickens, but she obeys. The lock clicks with finality. "How are you healing?" He still doesn't turn. "Fine. Dr. Russo says another week in." "That's not what I asked." Now he turns, and his eyes are dark. Searching. "How are you, Jenny?" The question cracks something open. "I don't know what I'm supposed to feel." "There's no supposed to." He moves closer, slow and deliberate. "I need you to understand something. The men who hurt you, they're alive. Barely. But alive." Jenny's breath catches. They're in 3 different countries. Remote locations where no one will ever find them. Places where escape is impossible and death would be mercy. His voice is clinical, detached. They have food, water, basic shelter. And every single day, they wake up knowing exactly what they did to earn their fate. How long will they? Years, if their bodies hold. Decades, if I'm feeling generous. Lorenzo stops in front of her, close enough that she has to tilt her head back to hold his gaze. They'll never see their families again. Never feel sunlight without bars between them and freedom. Never forget the woman they tried to destroy. He cups her face, thumb tracing the fading bruise on her cheekbone. "Do you feel remorse, Kara?" Jenny should. Every moral bone in her body screams that she should feel horror, guilt, something human and good. Instead, she leans into his touch and whispers, "No. No. It makes me feel protected." Her voice is steady. "Sure. It makes me feel like I matter." Lorenzo's eyes darken with something fierce and possessive. "You matter more than you understand. I've watched you for 3 years, Jenny. 3 years of wanting and waiting and convincing myself I could let you walk away when you finally saved enough for your dream. But you can't," she breathes. "No." His other hand slides into her hair, gentle but firm. "I can't. The moment Castellano touched you, every pretense shattered. You're mine to keep now, tesoro. Mine to protect. Mine to possess." His forehead touches hers. "And I'm never letting you go." Jenny's heart pounds. "What if I want to leave?" "Then I'd let you walk away." His smile is sad. "And spend the rest of my life making certain no one ever hurt you again." She believes him. "I don't want to leave," Jenny whispers. Lorenzo's kiss is inevitability. But he pulls back before she can lose herself in it. His hands frame her face, holding her still, forcing her to look at him. "You need to understand what you're accepting," he says, his voice rough. "Not the fantasy. Not the protector who saved you. The truth, Jenny. All of it. I already know. You know I made 10 men disappear. You don't know that I control half the organized crime in this city." His thumb traces her lower lip. "You don't know that I've ended lives with my own hands. That politicians answer my calls before their constituents. That evidence vanishes when I want it gone and people disappear when they become inconvenient." Jenny's pulse races, but not with fear. "The hotels are legitimate," Lorenzo continues, merciless in his honesty. "Everything else? The shipping companies, the import businesses, the private security firms, their fronts. Carefully constructed, meticulously legal on paper, and absolutely criminal in practice. Why are you telling me this? Because if you stay, there's no walking away later claiming ignorance." His eyes are black fire. "You need to choose me knowing exactly what I am. A monster wearing expensive suits. A predator who learned to smile for the cameras." Jenny reaches up, covering his hands with hers. You treated me like I mattered. That's not enough. You saw me, she interrupts, her voice fierce. For years I worked here, and I was invisible. Competent, reliable, forgettable. But you saw me. You noticed how I take my coffee and what I do with my tips and that my apartment lock is broken. Her throat tightens. You saw me when I was bleeding and terrified, and you didn't look away. Kara. I'm not afraid of what you are, Lorenzo. Jenny's voice doesn't waver. I'm afraid you'll decide I'm not worth keeping. That one day you'll wake up and realize I'm just the damaged girl from Brooklyn who needed saving. Something breaks in his expression. The control, the careful distance, the last barrier between what he is and what he wants. Not worth keeping? His voice drops to a growl. Jenny, you're the only thing in this godforsaken city worth keeping. Then he's kissing her like 3 years of restraint are shattering all at once. His hands slide into her hair, angling her head exactly where he wants it. The kiss is possession, claim, vow. It tastes like expensive whiskey and dangerous promises. Jenny gasps against his mouth, and Lorenzo takes the opportunity to deepen the kiss, consuming her completely. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rests against hers. Mine, he breathes. Say it. Yours. The word comes out easy. Right. I'm yours. Again. Yours, Lorenzo. I'm yours. His smile is devastating. And I'm yours, Tesoro. Every blood-stained, irredeemable piece of me. His hands tighten in her hair. Always yours. Promise me. I promise you violence when you need protection. I promise you vengeance when you're wronged. I promise you every dark corner of my empire and every gentle touch I have left in me. He kisses her forehead, her cheekbones, her lips. I promise you everything, Jenny Carlos. Until my last breath. She believes every word. Then take me home, she whispers. Lorenzo's smile turns predatory. With pleasure. 4 months later, Jenny marries a monster in Little Italy. The ceremony is intimate, 30 guests, a small chapel with frescoed ceilings, candlelight that makes Lorenzo's dark eyes softer. Jenny wears cream silk that cost more than her first car, and when Lorenzo slides the ring onto her finger, his hand trembles just slightly. Like she's something precious he's afraid to break. Mia Mogli, he whispers against her lips. My wife. The reception is held at Rossetti's, a private restaurant owned by one of Lorenzo's associates. String lights crisscross the courtyard. Wine flows freely. Jenny's mother cries happy tears while Lorenzo's gray-haired uncle tells scandalous stories from the old country. It's beautiful and normal and exactly what Jenny never thought she'd have. Then Victor Castellano walks through the courtyard gate. The music doesn't stop, but conversations falter. Guests shift nervously. Lorenzo's hand tightens on Jenny's waist where they stand greeting well-wishers. She feels him go absolutely still, that predator's stillness that means violence is 3 seconds away. Victor looks like he's aged a decade. Expensive suit hanging loose on his frame. Eyes hollow. He stops 10 feet away, hands in his pockets, trying for casual confidence and failing. Milani, he says. His voice cracks slightly. We need to talk. No. Lorenzo's voice is quiet. Absolute. We don't. My son. Your son made a choice. Lorenzo releases Jenny only to step in front of her, a human shield in a 3-piece suit. He's living with the consequences. As you will if you take 1 step closer to my wife. Victor's eyes dart to Jenny. She meets his gaze without flinching, without apology. She remembers Dominic's hands, his laugh, the way he looked at her like she was nothing. She hopes he's suffering. You can't keep him forever, Victor tries, desperation bleeding through. The FBI will never find him. Lorenzo picks up his wine glass from the nearby table with one hand, the gesture almost lazy. Just like they'll never find the other 9. Just like they'll never find you if you disrupt one more second of my wedding. The threat hangs in the air, sharp and clear. This is my wedding, Victor. Lorenzo's voice drops lower. Dangerous. This is my wife. The woman your son tried to destroy because he'd never been told no in his privileged, useless life. He takes a sip of wine, perfectly controlled. And if you ruin one more second of her happiness, Victor, you will find your son's current accommodations have vacancy. Victor goes pale. Someone in the crowd, Jenny thinks it's Lorenzo's uncle, laughs quietly. Now leave, Lorenzo says. Before I forget, this is supposed to be a celebration. Victor retreats. Not walking, fleeing. The gate clangs shut behind him, and the music swells again. Conversations resume. Lorenzo turns back to Jenny, setting down his glass, and extends his hand. Dance with me, Mowgli. Jenny takes his hand. They move together under the string lights, his arms solid around her, his heartbeat steady against her cheek. Around them, the celebration continues, laughter and music and the warm smell of Italian food. But Jenny only feels Lorenzo, feels the deadly promise he just made on her behalf, feels the absolute certainty that no one will ever hurt her again. Regrets, he murmurs against her hair. Jenny smiles. Not one. She's possessed and protected and prized by a predator who learned to be gentle only for her. And her safety isn't the absence of danger, it's the presence of a man who will obliterate any threat to her happiness. Ti amo, Lorenzo whispers. I love you. Ti amo, Jenny whispers back, and means it with every blood-stained, satisfied corner of her heart. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more thrilling stories. Your comments mean the world to me. Let me know what you thought and what kind of stories you'd like to see next. Until next time, keep watching and stay mysterious.